If you couldn't get enough of Nier Automata, well, you're in luck, as an anime spin-off series is heading your way next year in January 2023. The series has yet to have a nailed down exact date, but it was confirmed to be coming in January during the Aniplex Online Fest, which happened over last weekend. Yoko Taro explained that there will be some differences between the game story and the series, that they are different mediums, and explaining that if the story was exactly the same, it wouldn't make for an interesting anime. An announcement trailer was released with English subs, giving a few minutes of footage, peeking into the woeful tale that undoubtedly will be filled with melancholy. The video starts off giving some milestones of the action RPG, and what fans of the franchise can look forward to in this animated adaptation. It's safe to say fans will be reliving the turmoil of this fantastic game with bittersweet memories. Featured in the video are the iconic 2B and Sidekick 9S. For more on this news, as with all news mentioned in this video, the link is in the description below. The upcoming action RPG Gotham Knights got some new details in a recent interview with Play magazine. Cinematics director Wilson Moy and game director Jeff Eleanor shared more details about how the character swapping features works story-wise. The setting for Gotham Knights is that it's set in the DC universe where Batman is no more. You'll be taking up the role of Batgirl, Red Hood, Nightwing, and Robin. The studio made 4 stories, but in order to see all that the game has to offer you, you will need to play more than once. In order to create this multi-dimensional narrative, it hasn't been easy, as every cinematic must be adjusted for that character. While the scenes may be similar, they will suit the character that is currently experiencing it. Gotham Knights will be released on October 21st for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. If you want to know more titles that are releasing this October, be sure to check out our top 5 upcoming RPGs. Marvel's Midnight Suns unveiled gameplay for Magik, an adept sorceress that can create portals and tap into demonic powers. For those unfamiliar with the heroine, Magik is a mutant who specializes in the manipulation of time and space. Magik is also an expert swordsman, as she wields the soul sword with skill and grace. Shown in the latest trailer is this hero on the battlefield using portals to disrupt enemy movements. She can easily set up the enemy and then be followed up with combos from the rest of her team. Like all heroes, Magik has access to extremely powerful, game-changing heroic abilities. One great example here is Banish. This will essentially take out an enemy from the fight for a full turn. For more on Marvel's Midnight Suns, be sure to check out our hands-on gameplay impressions. Coming in November is Ship of Fools, which adds a faster-than-life formula of intense ship management into the mix. Announced this week, Sea Horizon is coming to the Nintendo Switch. This game is a roguelite that features turn-based tactical combat while exploring the islands of Mirren traveling by ship. Players will be able to explore a hex-based overworld that represents Mithrin, which is always shrouded at the start of the run. The world will be procedurally generated to keep things fresh each time you play. Combat in Sea Horizon is turn-based using a deck of cards to deal attacks and other moves. Sea Horizon has been available already on Steam in early access for quite some time. It will also be released on Nintendo Switch on October 20th. You can check out more in-depth details about the game over on the Fextralife website. A reveal trailer was released this week for upcoming hunting game Wild Hearts. The game recently got its title announced, being developed by Koei Tecmo's Omega Force and being published by Electronic Arts. The game is described as having a vibrant fantasy world, according to Executive Vice President at Koei Tecmo, Yuzuki Hayashi. Players will be battling giant beasts called kemono using an ancient tech called karakuri, taking place in a fantasy region of Asma in feudal Japan where kemono habit. The game will have both co-op and cross-play. Choose special missions with your pack or join others in the world to take on the kimono on your own. According to a recent interview with IGN, the world is zone-based, but each zone is quite large. What makes Wild Hearts look rather interesting compared to other hunting games such as Monster Hunter Rise, players have special tech called karakuri. This can be crafted into different tech, which includes catapulting barrels and even building structures. So there seems to be quite some flexibility in terms of how you can take on these giant monsters. Wild Hearts will be released on February 17th, 2023 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC via Origin, Steam, and the Epic Games Store for $69.99 USD. Darkest Dungeon 2 got a major update which sets to overhaul the game's main progression systems and a new bounty hunter class this week. Now available on the experimental branch of the Darkest Dungeon 2 Early Access release is the Altar of Hope update. This will essentially change the gradual account wild unlock system into something more familiar to Darkest Dungeon fans. The Altar of Hope will allow players to invest in the new Candles of Hope resource. candles can be used to unlock specific upgrades, items, perks, or heroes. Instead of linear progression, players can now choose what specifically to excel in based on their playstyles. Darkest Dungeon's Bounty Hunter was arguably a fan favourite. It is then understandable that some fans were a little bit upset that he wasn't part of the Darkest Dungeon 2 original roster, but now he's been added to the game. After a 3-year stint, Google has decided to end the Stadia venture. Announced this week is that the service will be ending on January 18th, 2023. Google have officially decided to call it quits for their streaming platform Stadia. The platform was initially released in 2019 with a bit of a bumpy start. Signs that things weren't working out for Stadia was the news that Google would be shutting down their first-party game development studios earlier this year. Now, 3 years after the release of Stadia, it will be closing its services on January 18th. In a blog post by General Manager Phil Harrison, he explained that it hasn't gained the traction with users that we expected, so we've made the difficult decision to begin winding down our Stadia streaming service. But what happens if you've made purchases for the controller and games? According to Google, all Stadia hardware purchases made through the Google Store and games will be refunded. As for the rollout of these refunds, it is expected to have the majority completed by the middle of January 2023. It won't be the last you'll see of Google in the cloud gaming sphere, as the game has plenty of plans to offer their tech to other areas such as YouTube, Google Play, and augmented reality, according to their blog post. They will also be working with other industry partners for future gaming projects. With one less way to play RPGs, what do you think of this news? Let us know in the comments below. As we edge closer to the end of the year, there are still launch announcements before the year is out. Blizzard confirmed this week that the Dragonflight expansion for World of Warcraft will be released on November 28, 2022. A new launch date announcement trailer has been released previewing the main features of the expansion, including a new hybrid playable race and class called Drakthir Evokers, which unlocks dragon riding. The level cap will be also increased to 70, and the game's talent system, as well as professions, are getting a shake-up. November might seem a bit of an ambitious move for a release date, as Shadowlands the last expansion also released during this time, which was met with a lot of criticism. But the region of Dragon Isles has been planned for quite some time for the long-running MMORPG. World of Warcraft Dragonflight will be released on November 28th for PC, with pre-orders now available.
Well, that's it for the Week in the Wikis. Please join us again next week for yet another great week of gaming. Remember to check out our VIP program for some exclusive supporter benefits. And budding writers should take advantage of our Become an Author initiative. Thanks again for being part of this great community. Keep checking in with us with news, reviews, YouTube streams and vids, and general wiki goodness.